All right, thanks so much for tuning into Behind the Masterpiece, brought to you by our friends at Visit Sarasota. You can always go to visitsarasota.com. I am your host, Brian Hirsch. I happen to be the CEO for the Arts and Culture Alliance of Sarasota County as well. We have an incredibly special guest with us today. Wu Han is here, and she is the artistic director of La Musica. It's our amazing music festival here, but she also happens to be the co-artistic director of Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center and the founder of Artist Led, one of the classical music first artist-run and internet labels as well, recording. Wu Han, welcome to Behind the Masterpiece.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's wonderful to have you. What an honor, bringing such quality and professionalism to Sarasota and artistry. Sarasota is so thrilled and lucky to have your artistic expertise. And of course, anything that you're listening to today, you can always go to lamusicafestival.org to learn more about all the great things that we're going to talk to Wu Han about. So Wu Han, let's get into it. Let's talk about something. So I tell people, everyone has like a Sarasota origin story and like, how did you arrive here? So what first got you involved in La Musica? And then how did you decide to become the artistic director as well?
Well, when La Musica was first founded, this has to be like maybe 30 years ago. I was a youngster. I was in my 20s. And the founder, artistic director, Derek Han, just because everybody think we have the same last name, they always thought we are brother and sisters. So Derek said, you have to come down and help me to jumpstart this festival. So I was there probably like 35 years ago, just was there playing concerts, and I brought my daughter down there to enjoy the beach. And I always had a great time and realized how special Sarasota is, especially with such engaged audience. It made a huge impression on me. But then I got really, really busy. And Derek and I kept in touch for many, many years. During the pandemic time, Derek was living in Italy, and he flew home to get the vaccine shot. And when he landed in Sarasota, he didn't feel well, and the very next day he died. And it was a huge shock for all of us, especially musicians. At that point, the board was considering shutting the whole festival down. And I came to Sarasota about 3 years ago, was the very first concert after the pandemic. At that point, the board was talking about maybe this will be our last festival. And I just came out and said, no, my good friend Derek will turn in his grave. This is too good of the festival. Sarasota needs great chamber music. And then they offered me the job. Since I advocated so hard, I really couldn't turn it down. Even I have already 4 other artistic directors' job, not only from Lincoln Center, Music and Menlo in the Silicon Valley, also across Florida. I'm the artistic advisor for the Society of the Four Arts in Palm Beach, as well as I'm artistic advisor for Wolf Trap in Washington, D.C. But I see this great opportunity to really use my very robust Rolodex and to help my old friend Derek to jumpstart the festival again. After the pandemic, everybody needs music. That was just my belief and my strong passion. So I took over Sarasota's this particular job, and this will be my 3rd season to bring good chamber music to Sarasota.
Amazing. And what a great example. So, if we're all in meetings and we know if you have an idea and you raise your hand, it might be you who gets to continue that idea and thread. So thank you for that example. But more sincerely, thank you for really stepping up. I think, yes, Sarasota deserves outstanding music. So let's talk about that. How do you really work so hard, and how do you utilize that Rolodex to really bring some of the finest music from all over the world here in this like beautiful community of Sarasota? Explain like what that takes and why we do that.
Well, the original La Musica Festival is 3 or 4 concerts in April time, and it's packed into about 10 days or 2 weeks period. My thought when I took over the job is actually to expand chamber music throughout the whole season. So the season will have January, February, March, April. By the time we go to April, we'll have 3 concerts. So we spread out to take the position as we will be your best chamber music diet. If you want great chamber music, once a month, you're going to have the best musician to walk on stage. The programming philosophy, however, it's really artistic director's job to design the whole season. You have to make sure your season has good music, staple masterpieces, new discoveries. You have to make sure that there are adventurous spots to engage people, to provoke their curiosity. And then once you have the program done, you have to look at it. Do you cover enough region? Are you too focused on just German music, or is there any variety that can keep engage the audience to come to your concerts? So the program design go first. Once the program is designed, then the thing to do is actually, it's a little unusual the way I usually do programming. And most of the people just invite people in and figure out what they have on their plates. I am much more into the music because I want to build the trust. If an audience give me 2 hours, I want to make sure it's 2 hours worth their time. So program design is done, then we start to cast the musician that has the best sound, the best quality, the best understanding, the best execution to execute the program. So it's a little unusual. It's more cumbersome than you just call your friend and say, hey, can you come play a concert? This is much more sort of carefully curated and push the envelope here and there. So I know this podcast will broadcast on March 4th. So if you come on March 9th, you're going to hear a program with 2 incredible violinists, and that's Dambi Un and Paul Huang. And it's very unusual to find 2 violins recitals. Usually you'll find a violinist and a piano recital. So these are the repertoire that is very, very hard to come by on the market. And that's including the Miskalski, beautiful, beautiful suite. And there's incredible Grieg violin sonatas, Faure violin sonatas. Each violinist will shine. And then the 2 violins will join, play Barlow's Hirabic elegy for 2 violins, and then as well as Sarasota Nivara, which is like one of the most virtuosic, entertaining piece on earth. And both violinists has to fly up and down, pizzicato, harmonic, all kinds of incredible tricks. It's like watching the best circus coming in town. So that will be the concert will happen on March 9th. And so that will take care of our March concert. We already done the whole program of about Felix Mendelssohn in January. February, we did a whole program about the Spanish music. So then we will come to our closing festival, which will be 3 concerts. And like I said, the program is designed to sort of provoke or symbolically to show off. So we will start with Beethoven Opus 1 number 1 trio, just as the sort of a try and true of the best composer, which is Beethoven. Opus 1 number 1 is really, really important for the musician to know that's his first statement. How come Beethoven choose this piece to be his first published number? So it's very important, and there'll be a lot of background to explore, which I will explain at the concert. It's an unusual situation. Beethoven was making his debut in Vienna, and so he has to show off. So he wrote 3 piano trios, Opus 1, number 1, 2, 3. We're going to start with 1, and then last year we actually heard Opus 1, number 2. So the audience will remember there's some kind of situation, a sort of connection there as to last year's festival. The second program, what happened is Beethoven came to Vienna and he was trying to make a name for himself. So he put out 3 piano trios, complete break the tradition of Haydn and Mozart. These piano trios are as big as a symphony work. Each one is 30 minutes long. And the next thing he did, he wrote a whole bunch of piano sonatas, which is all wonderful. Then he took the string trio genre, which before Beethoven arrived, the only string trio is Mozart divertimento. It's not even a trio. Beethoven took 3 strings, violin, viola, and cello. He decided he's going to mount a new level of the string trio. And the interesting part is the string trio is opus 9. He wrote 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, and they are mirror of the opus 1, number 1, 2, 3. Similar construction, number 3, either on opus 1 or opus 9, all finished with minor key, very weird and very Beethoven-like. The opus 9 number 1 and opus 1 number 1 are all, hey, I'm here. I'm Ludwig van Beethoven. I'm going to show off what I could do. Opus 1 number 2 and opus 9 number 2 are completely different. They are in the middle. They are very sophisticated. So it's an incredible way for the audience in 2 programs to compare opus 1 and opus 9 and really discover why Beethoven is so important.
Yeah.
Right?
I love those moments of discovery. This is so fun. Yeah, keep it going. Tell us more in April.
And then for the first concert, after you hear opus 1 number 1, I decided to take the audience to go to the Czech genre. Martinu duo, the 3 madrigals. It was written actually when Martinu came to United States. And he met a couple, the Joseph and Lillian Fuchs. They both teachers in Juilliard School. And Martinu met them. Lillian and Joe Fuchs are very, very, very short. They are probably no more than 5 feet tall. And they are great teachers and great players. So Martinu wrote this for the brother and sister without knowing they actually fight like crazy all the time. So the madrigal it's fascinating. It's filled with energy. It sort of fits those 2 personalities, the fiery personality. And then now we are on Martinu. This is a new discovery for the audience. I want to finish the first program with the try and true of the best work. So I have programmed the Dvorak string sextet. The sextet is filled with folk music and it's so incredibly delightful and beautiful, dance rhythms, and it just takes you to the Czechoslovakia countryside, and you can see the peasant dancing and all of the colorful melody in this piece. That's how we will finish the first program. The second program, of course, we started with opus 9 number 1, the Beethoven trios. That's just so you can reflect to the opus 1 number 1 you just heard in the first concert. And we are going to stay still in the Eastern European tradition. We will have the Dvorak Dohnanyi trio. Dohnanyi is actually, it's a dance, came from Ukraine, currently Ukraine. It's a dance, very, very beautiful dance. Most of the time it's a little sad. Dohnanyi piano trio by Dvorak is one of the most unusual ones. It's actually, instead of the normal 3 or 4 movements, it's in 6 movements. And each movement is a dunka, it's a dance. Dvorak at that time was about to leave his country to come to the United States to take over the conservatory in New York. He was offered so much money. He didn't really want to leave home, but his wife told him, you have to go because the money was too good. So he came to the United States, and before he left, this was his sort of farewell to his country because he wasn't sure if he's going to come back or not. So it's 6 very beautiful, romantic lament of his countryside. He actually toured all over his country in Europe for this piece to say goodbye to his country and came to the United States. The interesting part was that he didn't even have time to edit the whole manuscript for publishing. So he left the manuscript to Johannes Brahms, who actually finished the editing for him. So they're good friends. Brahms was the reason Dvorak became famous. So that was a very interesting friendship behind that. And then remember earlier I told you that Martinu came to the United States. There's one more composer also came to United States, and that is Dohnanyi. Dohnanyi wrote this incredible piano quintet, Opus 1. And when he showed it to Brahms, the back end is the Brahms is staying in the background. When he showed his Opus 1 piano trio to Brahms, Brahms said, you know, kid, if I write a piano quintet, I wish it's as good as this one. Yeah, that was quite a compliment, right? So Dohnanyi became quite famous, but during the war, they all had to escape the terrible condition. So, you know, guess where he came to? He ended up in Florida. Yeah, he was buried in Florida, died in Florida. And this piece, it's sort of a reminiscent from the old Czechoslovakia and also the new. You can just hear the Eastern European kind of, but it's a young voice versus the earlier Dvorak. It's a much older voice. Now, the third concert is the end of the whole season. So I want to have a huge ending. So because the first two concerts German and Czech, now I would bring the third concert back to United States. The audience will hear Barber's Souvenir for opening. Barber's Souvenir is a piano four-hand piece. It's also 6 movements. It's a comparison to the earlier 6 movements, as you could tell. These 6 movements are, he wrote it. Actually, he was hanging around in New York and trying to roam around in bars. And his friends say, hey, write us a piano four-hand piece so we can show off when we go. Maybe we'll get some free drinks out of it. So that's the background of the piece. I'm not kidding. The piece came out. There's really 6 dances. There's a tango. There's a pas de deux. There's all kinds of funky kind of there's a waltz and all kinds of dances in there. It was immediately transcribed to the orchestra version, and the ballet company started to put dances on it. It's really, really fun. Barber said he reminds him of his mother used to take him when he was young to go to the Plaza Hotel to watch the fancy people dancing. So it's one of those pieces that is very Americana, a little funky, the early New York scenes. And then we're going to go to one of the greatest masterpieces that have really, really programmed on the concert stage. That is the Bloch piano quintet. This particular quintet, it's number 1 quintet, was written during the war. It's one of the most frightening sounding things, with the string like screaming, playing all these like intense sound underneath it. And the piano part is just, I could have just put my elbow on it. It was a war piece. It was really mysterious. It has a Jewish prayer in the middle. It's incredibly powerful. You would not know. It's not a normal sort of a language that you're accustomed to a classical music. So you come in, you will be kind of in shock what classical music can push the envelope, the genre to. So that's the Bloch piano quintet for you. I'm going to play that myself. I just recorded, so I'm so excited about the piece. And then we will finish the whole festival. At this point, you have not heard one sound of the French sound. So we're going to use the Faure piano quartet in C minor to close the whole festival. Faure C minor quartet was written when, so this is a story, he was chasing a girl, they are engaged. And I don't know what he did, but the girl broke up the engagement. And he was so heartbroken, but it's still in his romantic thoughts. So the Faure C minor quartet was written under that condition. You can just imagine it's heartfelt, it's sadness, but glorious all at the same time. It's one of the most juicy French music. You can just taste the butter and the cream, in the chord progressions, and it's incredible. So that's, I always say the third concert is pretty intense and really fun. Such huge contrast from the, walking around in New York, dancing, to the war music and to the madly in love Faure and heartbroken Faure. So that's how the whole arch of the whole festival. It started out very mild and it blow up in the end. That's the way we designed the program.
I love it. I love it. Wuhan, a couple more questions. This is amazing. I think, thank you for bringing to life and really amplifying what's so important to La Musica, of really, I think, breaking down the artistic process and the creative process and bringing people closer in it. I don't know who's writing your program notes, but I hope they're as good as what you were just saying. So I think that's great. I think all the color in your language of describing that, I hope are reflected in program notes, which, oh boy, as a musician, I have so many opinions and questions about program notes, but that's for like another show and conversation. So way to go. That was really cool. So I'm going to get us out of here on this, because I know you do a great job with really breaking down barriers and bringing people closer into the creative processes from rehearsals and all kinds of things, or just, as you were saying, really describing to people, setting it up for what they're going to experience, which is so important for people who know the music or don't. Yep. So I really love that. But let's get back to the beginning. How did this all start for you, Wuhan? When did you come to the piano? And when did you know you wanted to pursue piano and music and being an artistic director and a record label founder and all of these things? How did that work for you? What's that process?
Well, that's the craziest story. I'll do a short version of it.
Okay.
My father was a policeman. My mother works in the newspaper. She was an editor. We were very poor when we were young. There were 4 kids, and my parents had to work for policemen's work and the newspaper work. They were never home. So when we were poor, my mother saved up the money. One day, she sent my father to buy a suit for a cousin's wedding. My father, at that time, we could not afford a suit, so my mother sent my father to the American GI's flea market to pick up a Western suit. And my father came home with no suit, and instead, he came home with a stack of LP and a turntable. And my mom was furious. But my dad said, "Oh, gadget is so much fun than the suit. I just wear my normal Chinese clothes. It will be fine." He started playing those LPs, and he got so excited after about a month. And trust me, this is nonstop playing. This is not like just playing an hour before, after dinner. It's as soon as he wakes up, LP is on. As soon as he comes home, the LP is on. Sometime middle of the night, he will still play the LP all night. And then he came home and declared that all of his children had to learn how to make that noise. It's too beautiful.
Wow.
That's how I started. Yeah. And my parents saved up the money and bought an upright piano that summer. I learned 2 little pieces from May to June, July. And my mother said we could not possibly afford piano lessons. But she saw in the newspaper there is a gifted and talented program, full scholarship. My mom said, go audition for it. I was 9 years old, so I was late on the scene. I think I fooled them all. I played my 2 little pieces, and they took me in. And it was terrible because it was emergency. They realized I didn't even read music. I'm not supposed to. I'm not supposed to be in the gifted and talent program. I just fool them all. I still fool everybody, but that's okay. Anyway, because I was late and I was immediately assigned, it's a school that was founded by Belgian missionaries. So I was immediately assigned 2 Belgian nuns to practice with me every day.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the best training because you can imagine 9 years old, it was the most focused time that your brain is developing. And I was practicing instead of having once a week lesson. I was having lesson every single day. I was never allowed to go off track. For the first 2 years, because it's emergency, they built up my technique like unbelievably. Only scale, arpeggio, Bach, etude. I was not allowed to play anything, just technique, scale, arpeggio. I hate every bit of it. I was so angry and I want to play music so bad, but no, I was not allowed, just technique. And by the time I was 11, I finally was allowed to play music. And I was so excited. It's like somebody dangling the candy in front of you, but you can't eat it. So by the time I was 11, when I was assigned my first Chopin, oh boy, that was the most delicious thing I ever encountered. And I practiced really, really hard. I started winning competition and started perform. By the time I was 14, I made my debut to play concertos and concerts and everything. So
and off ever since. And what a great example of like the pursuit of excellence. And I think you're demonstrating like the artist sacrifice. You have to get through. And you have to get through. And in the end, it can be incredibly beautiful, but it's hard work.
It
right?
was very hard. I mean, if you had to stay in the top 6 prizes in the class, so you can keep your scholarship. So I did not have a choice. I had to be good. Otherwise, I'll be kicked out of school and go back to the regular school. And I wanted to play piano so bad. I just stayed with it. And it was not a choice. It was not the professional of my choice. But I can tell you, I'm grateful every day because it really is the best job. It's such a joy to walk on stage and play for people and see them walk away happy. Nobody died from my wrong note, but most of the time people are happy and inspired, and I am inspired. I love traveling. I still love travel these days. I do about 260, 280 days a year of traveling, playing concerts. I still love every bit of it.
Wow. What an honor. Well, we love every bit of it, and we're looking forward to all the different performances at La Musica Festival coming up between now and April. We were listening to Wu Han, the artistic director of La Musica. You can go to lamusicafestival.org to hear all of those amazing details and get tickets as well. You can go to visitsarasota.com to listen to this podcast. Wu Han, thanks for being on Behind the Masterpiece.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. All right, I'm your host, Brian Hirsch, and until next time, peace. Thanks for listening to this episode of Behind the Masterpiece, brought to you by Visit Sarasota County. For more and to hear this podcast, go to visitsarasota.com.